So let me just talk about the past, okay? Because I feel like a lot of recent end to relationships have happened for you in your recent past. The recent past goes back to like 6 months, okay? And depending on whether or not you're born, in early degree Aquarius or late degree Aquarius, the energy could have happened for you earlier or later. So going back towards like 6 months. First of all, what we have here is the Five of Wands as well as the Devil. The Five of Wands is a relationship where there is a lot of conflict, a lot of trust issues, a lot of disagreements. And I also feel as if there has been a lot of like, I want to say like inner struggle and power struggle between you and a relationship partner. This card, I usually look at it as, two people who are basically two different species. You can't really agree on the simple things. You can't really see eye to eye. And philosophically, you're so different from each other that every discussion inevitably leads to an argument because you just don't agree on the fundamentals of like life. It's linked up here with the devil, and the devil is in the reverse position. So the devil basically indicates, patterns, behaviors, habits that we get into that have not been good for us. And I also feel for many of you, you're breaking this pattern because you have dated people in your past where there's a lot of chemistry, there's a lot of attraction because, opposites attract, right? But at the same time, on the foundational level, you and the other person that you're dating, you don't really have the same goals. You don't really have the same plans for the future. And so while the relationship is very exciting, it's also very dynamic. It just doesn't have a common consensus, and there isn't a common narrative between you and the relationship partner. With the Devil card, basically, I feel like many of you are breaking these patterns, are realizing the relationship habits that you have, either picking fights to make things interesting, or, like that mirroring effect where if your relationship partner does something that makes you jealous, you go and do something that makes them jealous. Because I feel like this is a mirroring back and forth, bickering, and it's very senseless. And I feel like a lot of you have been caught up in these relationships in the past, and it was not good for you. You have come to realize that you are essentially, um, allowing and inviting this energy into the relationship. And you were also with a relationship partner where there was like zero compatibility to begin with. And as a result of it, the relationship has seen many, many ups and downs. There were a lot of, breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together. It's a vicious cycle. And so you have broken this, which is really good, Aquarius. Moving forward into the present, what we have here is the Magician. And the Magician, I usually think of this card as the Aquarian male, because Aquarian male are quite charismatic. They're super intelligent, but this can also represent Aquarian people in general, where you are kind of like the life of the party. You know how to make really good first impressions. And you have a lot of like interesting anecdotes. You throw out stories, you throw out these little anecdotes, and people really, really like you. People really like to be around you, and they gravitate towards you. So this is a really good energy to have. Many of you are returning to the dating scene, whining and dining other people, or being wine and dine, going out, having a really good time, a cocktail in your hand, and just being the life of the party. So I feel overall for singles, make yourself available for dating. Even if you've had like a few failed relationships or failed attempts at dating, don't give up on it because your energy is really dazzling for this month. And I feel like you need to be seen and heard, and you're going to be in an environment where you start to really attract new people. And I also feel we have the Star coming through in the future, especially for single Aquarius people, because this is your card here. This is kind of like inspiration, being divinely guided, and, just being in the right place at the right time to get your heart's desire. So I feel if you are single, we have here the Page of Coins, which is, an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. We have here the Knight of Coins, a very strong earth sign energy that is going to be in the picture for those of you who are single, looking for people, wanting to, expand outwards, okay? For others of you, you are dealing with this person, the Magician, and thank God he's in the upright position, because this is a really, he or she can be very seductive. This is somebody who is, they dress really well. They're very well groomed. So they're never caught wearing ripped jeans or, shorts. They're a little bit on the high maintenance side. So many of you are dealing with this person. Very intelligent, has many interesting stories in his or her past. So they can tell you, the most bizarre, the most like unique story. But I feel like they're honest. I don't feel like they're deceitful or anything like that. I feel that they are honest. And even like the most outlandish stories has truth to it. So you're with somebody that is dressed really well, that is very well groomed, very popular. People like them. And I also feel for many of you, I feel like there is a sense of intimidation. You don't get intimidated easily, Aquarius, but when you like somebody, I feel like most of the time Aquarius people are a little bit cocky, and there's nothing wrong with that, because it just means, you're confident, right? I feel like you're very confident when it comes to, going to a party and dealing with very platonic friends. But as soon as you like somebody, you kind of freeze up. And that's the only time where you start to question, am I good enough for this person? Is this person going to like me? They have so much life experience under their belt. They have like, such an interesting life that will they find me interesting? So I feel like you are feeling a little bit out of your element. You're feeling a little bit like, it's almost like scared of falling in love with this person. So we have, excuse me, it's hard to pick these up. We have here, so the Magician and the Chariot in the reverse. The Chariot is two people who are very similar, or could be different, but they're moving the relationship in the right direction. When it's in the reverse position, it indicates to me, despite the lack of compatibility, I feel like this person, their energy is like the embodiment of all the elements. So I feel like this person is very versatile, and they can be with any relationship partner they choose, mainly because they kind of shift with their relationship partner. They have a lot to offer as well. So it's kind of like they're the master of all the elements. So I feel like if you are intimidated, I'm sensing this person is really smart, whoever it is that you've got your eyes on. They're very intelligent, and you're not really sure if you make the cut. You're not really sure if you're good enough. I'm sensing some of you are dealing with a little bit of self-doubt here as to your worthiness, your lovability, because you're with somebody or you like somebody that you feel is a great catch, okay? In the foundation is something that you know to be true. What we have here is the Ten of Cups in the reverse. This is a situation where I feel like it could have led to marriage. It could have led to like engagement, but for some reason it fell apart. So you were dealing with something like this, and now that you're newly single or you're dating again, I feel like a lot of you have fears that you still haven't that you have not let go of from the past, that you haven't released from the past. Fears of giving your heart away, entering into this, wedded union, this engagement with another person, and then having it kind of fall apart. So I'm sensing we have some emotional hangups here that is not completely done. And then we also have as well the Hangman in the upright position this time. So for some of you, this situation might pertain to an earth sign. So if you are dealing with an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, I feel like I feel like, so first of all, this earth sign is very, very slow moving, but when he or she shows up in the reverse position, it basically means that they're really interested in you. They're gunning for you. They're trying to make, they're trying to make a move towards you. But I don't know if you're feeling 100% into it anymore. You're just doubting the viability of a relationship. You're doubting whether or not it's going to be feasible in the long run. And you're doubting whether or not it's going to give you, that emotional wedded bliss that you've been longing for quite some time. So we have here the earth sign that you're still on the fence about. There might have been some recent falling out. There might have been some recent geographical, physical, separation from one another. You're waiting for them to kind of like get their act together and make more of a move towards you, to be a lot more directed about what they want out of you. Crowning this reading is something that you are thinking about. And we have here the Eight of Swords, which is no longer keeping yourself stuck, making some positive strides in your own life, kind of like being the catalyst of change in your own life, not putting your life on hold, not, putting your life on hold, waiting for other people to come back, waiting for news, communication from other people. And it's linked up as well with the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands is a card about being high in demand, and especially it's almost like fighting off all opposition because you know what your heart wants. So I feel like for some of you, if your friends, your family have told you, you should do this, you should do that, you should get married, you should, date such and such, I feel like you're just gonna put a kibosh on it. You're just gonna be like, whatever you're telling me is not really appropriate for my situation. I know what's best for me, because ultimately you do know what's best for you. And I feel like the more people push you, the more you try to do exactly the opposite. So I feel like at around this time, your friends and your family members know you well enough to know that the more they advise you, the more you will try to not do what they want. And you will most likely try to do the opposite just to shock them. So they know that their advice, their counsel is falling on deaf ears. And I feel like that's just what we're getting here. And moving into the future position, we have the Star. The Star is wish fulfillment, getting something that your heart desires. The Eight of Wands and the Page of Coins. So if you're dealing with that magician person and, you're wondering whether or not they like you, I feel like there's going to be a lot of communication. There's going to be a lot of communication back and forth. So I feel like the answer here is yes. They do like you. There's going to be a lot of communication, long distance, or even, communication through like electronic means. And I feel like it can lead to actually dating, like a date forming, a date being offered, or a date coming into the picture. It's going to be a little bit slow. And that's fine. It's still Mercury in retrograde, so you want to slow it down, which is great. And for others of you, singles, you need to get out there for this month. You have some really great placements, okay? But I feel like for others of you, if you're dealing with an earth sign, there's still a lot of trepidation from your end. Where's this going? Should we, slow things down or quicken the pace? So I do feel like you're getting a little bit frustrated because somebody's not being very clear about where they stand with you. And I have a very strong earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. And so I feel like for those in stable relationships right now, there's going to be a lot of love and affection here with this card. This is basically a lot of communication being extended, but also heartfelt communication where the other person really tells you how they feel about you. They can tell you how much they appreciate you. So there's a lot of great gestures and good romantic energy coming through, heartfelt communication. You're breaking old patterns. So I feel like it's almost like, Aquarius, I feel some of you walking around this entire year kind of like in a fog when it comes to relationship, because relationships have been very problematic, right?